For a great web or mobile experience, the user interface visual elements must be well positioned and organized. Layouts are used by designers to add structure to their work, provide consumers with a predictable pattern, and create a sense of familiarity. Hello, my name is Max. Welcome to Design Talk. Just like the name, this channel will talk mostly about UI, UX design. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification to know more about product design. Grids serve as a framework that aids product teams in organizing UI elements so that appropriate visual balance may be maintained from page to page. It enables UI designers and developers to produce more aesthetically pleasing and consistent UIs. It also improves page readability, scannability, and allow users to quickly get where they need to go. There are three typical grid types found in interfaces and web pages. First, column grid. Divide a page into vertical columns using a column grid. Then, the text and UI elements are aligned to these columns. You can find the example of this grid in WashingtonPost.com. Second, modular grid. By adding rows, a modular grid extends the column grid further. Modules are formed by the intersection of the columns and rows, to which the elements and content are aligned. Rows can be repeated to accommodate browsing, making modular grids ideal for listing and e-commerce pages. Third, hierarchical grid. Columns, rows, and modules are used to arrange the content according to importance. The largest portions of the grid are occupied by the parts and information that are most crucial. You can find the examples of this grid in Vulture.com. There are several grid parts that you need to know. First, column. In a grid, columns occupy the majority of the available space. Columns are used to organize content and elements. Column widths are typically established with percentages rather than fixed numbers to adjust to any screen size, and the number of columns will change. For instance, a grid on a desktop computer might have 12 columns, whereas a grid on a mobile device might have 4. Second, gutters. The gutter is the area between columns where elements and content from various columns are separated. Although gutter widths have set values, they might vary depending on the breakpoints. For instance, larger screens should have broader gutters, whereas smaller screens, such as mobile devices, should have narrower gutters. Third, margins. The far left and far right corners of the screen are meant by this. A grid's margins do not contain content. At various breakpoints, this space may be fixed or specified as a percentage of the screen width. Fourth, flowlines. Horizontal lines called flowlines divide a grid's various portions into bands that are parallel to one another. They aid the reader in understanding the layout's information. Additionally, flowlines produce edges or stopping places for the pieces to be placed on. Some flowlines are referred to as baselines, while others are known as hanglines. Fifth, modules. Any grid's foundation is made up of modules. They are the voids left by the separation of the vertical and flowlines. Columns are formed by combining vertical clusters of modules. Rows are created by horizontal groups. Sixth, spatial regions or zones. Zones or regions in space are formed by collections of nearby modules in both vertical and horizontal planes. A video can be played in a horizontal or vertical zone, respectively. Regions can be utilized to construct overlapping zones or to organize them proportionally. Next, we will talk about the reason why we should use grid in user interface design. Firstly, improved arrangement of UI elements. Designers may put and align objects on a page more quickly and easily by using grid layouts because they provide a clear structure of horizontal and vertical lines. It's considerably simpler to maintain order using a grid. Secondly, collaboration with developers and designers will be easier. When working with designers and developers, A clear grid structure helps to avoid any misunderstanding and blunders. You and your team may put elements and organize your designs consistently by using the grid as a guide. Thirdly, consistent design in each page. You and your team may create uniform sizes, spacing, and blocks for your projects with the use of a clear grid structure. It can assist you in developing a layout template for each of your important pages. The grid will make it simple to improve the visual hierarchy. Eventually, grids that are broken can impress users. Broken grids enable designers to present information on a page in a unique way and provide more intriguing but eye-catching visual effects than symmetric grids, which aid in the creation of comfortable user interfaces. Additionally, it is an effective way to win over customers and advance product brands. Now that you understand the benefit of a clear grid layout, let's move on to how to use those grids in real-life UI problem. Here are a few tips. Firstly, make grids specific to your design requirements. In order to control the relationships and ratios between page items, grid layouts are frequently utilized. Because of this, you must alter the grids to suit your design requirements. You should think about the following. 1. Make columns and rows specific. Visual designers frequently ponder the following issues when using grids. How many rows and columns ought to be used? What row height and column width should I pick? Is it required to select the gutter width or block size? Prior to using the grids, you should ask all of these questions. The ideal course of action would be to always tailor these properties to your layout requirements. You can begin with a 12-column grid if you don't want to develop a personalized grid arrangement. 2. Consider limitations. Some designers feel that putting limits to grid layouts can limit their ability to be creative. The adage, "no order without rules," should be kept in mind though. Creative limitations might help you see your work from a new perspective and help you come up with better solutions. They may occasionally assist you in producing a much more distinctive design. 3. To align items, make use of a baseline grid. An extensive grid with evenly spaced horizontal lines is known as a baseline grid, and it can be used to align text, photos, videos, cards, and other objects on your page. It is a useful tool for developing concise and close typography as well as for enhancing the visual hierarchy of your design. 4. Don't put elements in the gutter, but rather inside a grid field. Place items inside a grid field to guarantee that they are all neatly arranged and correctly spaced out on the page. It does not imply that you must start and conclude your sentences inside a grid field. If required, you should also deviate from the grid to draw attention to a specific component or area of your page. 5. Pay attention to the margin, spacing, and other details. The gutters between grid blocks, the margin outside the grids, and the space between items all have a significant impact on how the grid functions. The second tips about using grids is be mindful of responsive design. One of the most well-liked design movements is responsive design. Never overlook responsive design when using grids in your designs. Design utilizing percentages and proportions rather than precise pixels to make sure your grid layout will function on different screen sizes. Thirdly, select the appropriate grid layout generator or tool. To create a grid layout specifically for your project, use a grid layout tool. Consider the following tools, which are listed. 1. Map out and refine your grid layout concepts as soon as you can with a pen and paper. You might need to use a pen and paper to brainstorm your grid arrangement at the very beginning of the design process. Write down everything that comes to mind. You can iterate your ideas more freely and it helps you save a lot of time. However, you could want to switch to a more accurate and sophisticated design draft at a later time when you might want to talk about specific design features. It's possible that you can no longer use the pen and paper approach. 2. Mock Plus offers automatic grid layouts to speed up your design process. Users of Mock Plus, a one-stop online product design platform, may easily adjust all the columns, rows, gutters, and blocks thanks to the auto-grid layout it provides. Based on your needs, you can choose to display or hide these grid instructions. You may easily develop a responsive website or mobile app with the help of the auto-responsive layout. Mock Plus, an all-in-one design platform, makes it possible for your team to collaborate on the same project, including designers, developers, product managers, customers, users, and stakeholders. Your complete design workflow is connected conveniently in one location, including designing, prototyping, commenting, collaborating, and design handoff. 3. An online CSS grid generator is layouted. With only a few clicks, you can name your grids, add columns and rows, and select the grid sections you want to use in Layouted. A straightforward online CSS grid generator. You may quickly download the codes after designing the grid design or provide your colleagues a link to your grid. And last but not least tip about using grids is don't forget to test. You cannot neglect testing when designing any kind of product. It's also important to test and refine the grid arrangement. So, that's the end of this video. Next we will talk about atomic design. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. See you in the next video and take care.